Forget what you think you know about electric trucks. While everyone's eyes are on battery-powered semis, a quiet revolution is gaining steam, and it runs on the most abundant element in the universe. Australian firm Pure Hydrogen just landed a $3 million deal for hydrogen-powered heavy-duty trucks, including massive prime movers for long-haul freight. But there's a huge catch that could kill the entire project before the wheels even turn. Is this the moment hydrogen power finally breaks through in the trucking industry? Or is it an expensive gamble on a technology that's already losing ground in Europe? And what does this small deal in Australia mean for the future of shipping everything from your Amazon packages to the food in your grocery store? We're diving deep into the billion-dollar battle between batteries and hydrogen. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on the technology that will power our future, you're in the right place. Make sure you're subscribed to Electric Vehicle Empire. Let's get into it. All right, let's break down the news that's sparking this whole conversation. On August 12, 2025, Pure Hydrogen, a key player in Australia's clean energy scene, announced two major contracts totaling approximately 3 million Australian dollars, or about 1.9 million US dollars. First, they've inked a sales agreement with a New South Wales-based freight company, Scott Lovett Transport. The deal is for two of their flagship Taurus TS70-400 prime movers. These are the heavy hitters, the Class 8 semis designed for the grueling task of long-haul freight. This piece of the deal alone is worth over 2 million AUD. Second, they secured a follow-up order from a massive global company, Heidelberg Materials. This is for a second hydrogen fuel cell concrete mixer truck. This 8x4 rigid truck, powered by a 200 kilowatt fuel cell system, will join another unit Heidelberg previously ordered, creating a small fleet operating in Western Australia. On the surface, this sounds like a massive win. Pure Hydrogen's managing director, Scott Brown, stated that these deals prove there's real market demand for their vehicles after years of trials. And for companies like Scott Lovett and Heidelberg, it's a clear signal they want to decarbonize their fleets. But here's the fine print, the asterisk on this whole deal. The sale of those two prime movers to Scott Lovett Transport is not final. The agreement will only go ahead if and only if they can secure government funding for the project. Both parties say they're confident they'll get the funding, but in the world of big projects and government grants, nothing is guaranteed until the check is in the bank. The concrete mixer is expected in early 2026, and the prime movers, pending that funding, are slated for mid-2026. So this $3 million deal is really a story of immense promise and significant risk. It perfectly captures the state of hydrogen-heavy transport right now, a technology with incredible potential facing enormous hurdles. To understand why this is such a big deal, we need to look at the fundamental problem of trucking. The global trucking industry is the lifeblood of our economy, but it's also a colossal source of carbon emissions and pollution. Electrification is the answer, but the question is, what kind of electrification? This is where the great debate begins. Battery electric vehicles, or BEVs, versus hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles, or FCEVs. It's important to remember, a hydrogen truck is an electric truck. It doesn't burn hydrogen in an engine like gasoline. Instead, a fuel cell stack acts like a mini power plant. It takes hydrogen from a tank, combines it with oxygen from the air, and through a chemical reaction, produces electricity to power the motors, with its only emission being pure water vapor. So why would a company choose this seemingly complex route over just plugging a truck into a wall? For heavy-duty, long-haul applications, hydrogen has three killer advantages: range, refueling time, and payload. Let's talk refueling. A hydrogen-powered semi can be refueled in about 15 to 20 minutes, very similar to a diesel truck today. A battery electric semi, even with the most advanced megawatt charging systems being developed, can take anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours to get a significant charge. For a trucking company where time is literally money, keeping a multi-million-dollar asset parked for hours to charge is a logistical and financial nightmare. Hydrogen promises to eliminate that downtime. Then there's range and weight. To give a battery electric semi a 500-mile range, you need a colossal battery pack weighing thousands and thousands of pounds. That weight cuts directly into the truck's payload, the amount of cargo it can legally carry. Less cargo per trip means more trips are needed, reducing efficiency and increasing costs. A hydrogen fuel system, including the tanks and fuel cell, is significantly lighter than a comparable long-range battery pack. This means an FCEV can carry more freight, making it more profitable on every run. This is why companies like Pure Hydrogen are betting on FCEVs for the toughest jobs: coast-to-coast freight, mining operations, and heavy-duty applications like concrete mixers that need to run all day. Their Taurus Prime Mover is designed to solve this exact problem. So, if hydrogen is so great, why aren't our highways already full of these trucks? This brings us to the other side of the coin and the major headwinds facing this technology. The arguments against hydrogen are powerful, and they boil down to two things: efficiency and infrastructure. The biggest scientific argument against hydrogen is what's called round-trip efficiency. Let's follow the energy. To make green hydrogen, you start with renewable electricity, say from a solar or wind farm. You use that electricity to run an electrolyzer, which splits water into hydrogen and oxygen. This process is only about 70 to 80% efficient, so you lose 20 to 30% of your initial energy right there. Then you have to compress, chill, and transport that hydrogen to a fueling station, losing more energy. Finally, the fuel cell in the truck converts that hydrogen back into electricity, which is again not 100% efficient. By the time the energy actually turns the wheels of the truck, you may have lost over 60 to 70% of the original electricity you started with. Now compare that to a battery electric vehicle. You take that same electricity from the solar farm, transmit it over the grid, and put it directly into the truck's battery. You lose a little bit in transmission, a little bit in charging, and a little bit in the motor. But your total round-trip efficiency is usually around 70 to 80%. From a pure physical perspective, using electricity to make hydrogen to make electricity again is just inherently wasteful compared to using that electricity directly. Skeptics argue this makes green hydrogen a poor use of our precious renewable energy resources. And then there's infrastructure. While the electric grid is already in place, a hydrogen economy needs to be built from scratch. You need massive factories to produce hydrogen, a fleet of specialized trucks or a network of pipelines to transport it, and a whole new set of high-pressure fueling stations. This is a multi-trillion-dollar undertaking.
This brings us to the global context and a cautionary tale from Europe. As the provided article points out, there's been a recent age of realism setting in. Germany, for example, was once poised to be Europe's hydrogen mobility leader. They had strong government incentives, generous funding, and a real push to build out a network of hydrogen refueling stations, HRS. But over the past year, things have changed dramatically. Germany slashed its funding, and a complex market mechanism called the greenhouse gas quota, which helped make hydrogen competitive, crashed in price. Suddenly, the business case for hydrogen mobility became incredibly risky. The momentum has slowed, and many are questioning if hydrogen will ever be viable for anything beyond niche sectors, like fertilizer production or sustainable aviation fuel.
This is the challenging world that Pure Hydrogen is operating in. They are trying to build momentum in Australia, while one of the world's leading industrial nations is actively hitting the brakes. So let's bring it back to this $3 million deal. Is it a sign of a new beginning, or is it a last gasp? I believe it's a critical test case. The involvement of a major company like Heidelberg Materials is significant. They are not a small, idealistic startup. They are a global giant in construction materials, and they see a practical application for hydrogen today in their concrete agitators. The fact that they placed a second order shows that the technology is, at the very least, promising enough to expand upon. The deal with Scott Lovett Transport for the long-haul prime movers is even more crucial, but also more fragile because of its reliance on government funding. This highlights the central challenge for hydrogen right now. It's caught in a classic chicken and egg problem. Trucking companies won't buy hydrogen trucks without a reliable and affordable network of fueling stations. And companies won't invest billions in building that fueling network until there are enough trucks on the road to make it profitable. This is where government has to step in. That pending grant for pure hydrogen and Scott Lovett isn't just about helping two companies. It's about the Australian government deciding if it wants to break this stalemate. By funding these first few trucks, they can help create an initial base load of demand, which could encourage investment in a nearby refueling station. That station could then serve other new hydrogen trucks, and slowly a regional hub can be born. This is how ecosystems are built. They don't appear overnight. They start with small, strategic investments that prove the concept, reduce the risk for the next investor, and build momentum. What pure hydrogen is doing is trying to force the issue. They've built the trucks, they've found customers who are conditionally willing to buy them. Now they are essentially calling on the government to do its part to bridge the gap and kickstart the market. So what's the verdict? Is hydrogen the future of heavy transport? I believe the future isn't a simple either-or choice. The battle isn't really hydrogen versus batteries. It's diesel versus everything else. The end goal is to get fossil fuels off the road. It's highly likely we will see a mixed technology future. Battery electric trucks will likely dominate urban and regional delivery routes, shorter distances where they can return to a home base to charge overnight. The efficiency of BEVs is undeniable in these scenarios. But for the really tough jobs, the 1,000-mile cross-country treks, the heavy haulage and remote mining sites, the 24/7 operations, hydrogen's advantages in refueling speed and payload capacity might be unbeatable. One technology's weakness is the other's strength. The deal from pure hydrogen, while financially small in the grand scheme of the global logistics industry, is symbolically huge. It represents a tangible step forward, a real company putting real hydrogen-powered assets into the hands of real customers. Its success or failure, especially the part that hinges on government funding, will send a powerful message across the industry. We'll be watching this story closely. Will they get the funding? Will the tourist prime movers hit the Australian highways in 2026? Will this encourage other companies to take the plunge? The answers to these questions could very well shape the roads, the air, and the economy for decades to come. The race to decarbonize trucking is on, and hydrogen, despite the setbacks, is proving it's still very much in the race. What do you think? Is hydrogen the only realistic path for long-haul trucking? Or are we better off putting all our resources into advancing battery technology and megawatt charging? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching the Electric Vehicle Empire. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss our next deep dive into the technology that's shaping our world. We'll see you in the next one.